Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. Johnny North is here with me. Today on the show, I tell you about what it's like being in the WWE Thunderdome. I was in the Thunderdome or on the Thunderdome, and I'll tell you about what it's like being a member of the audience in the Thunderdome, and we'll also start to preview the WWE Draft 2020 Friday night on SmackDown. They will begin the draft. They'll wrap it up the following Monday on Raw. It's drafting time. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Johnny North, professional wrestler extraordinaire. A lot of love and hate in his heart. Carrying the violence, bringing the heat. And that's it, big man. But we love you, Big Johnny. Except for me, right? You love me. This is my birthday show, Johnny. Come on.
All hate for your birthday.
What?
Tons of hate.
So rough. All right, John. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Appreciate the birthday greetings. It's wrestling time. I was in the Thunderdome for SmackDown. And
how was that?
It was pretty cool. I liked being in the Thunderdome. I enjoyed myself. It felt almost like I was at a WWE show. I was cheering. I was going bananas like this. I was booing, when they tell you to boo. There's like a voice guy who talks to you the whole time. Not like during the whole show, but, he'll come in and out and be like, okay, boo this guy. He'll tell you who to boo. Certain heels, they wanted. Yeah, they tell you who to boo. Like, they will be like, Sami Zayn, they were like, oh, boo him, boo AJ Styles, boo John Morrison. There was an opening match, too, at like 7:45 before SmackDown started. They give you a dark match. So it's kind of like being at a WWE show live. It's kind of like being at a SmackDown taping where they give you the dark match and you get to watch the match during the commercial breaks. Like, during the break, there were a couple commercials, like WWE commercials and stuff that they would show you for the video game, or at one point they show you Triple H and Stephanie and the New Day when they were on the Tonight Show doing that lip sync battle, So they have like WWE little promo videos that they show you when they go to commercial break, but there's no commercials really to speak of. And a lot of the time when it was a match that went to commercial, they stayed with the match. And you got to see the wrestling continue on during the break, which I thought was really cool. So I didn't see myself on any of the screens. There's a lot of screens. It's possible I was on one of them. I don't know. I didn't see myself. Maybe you saw me. I was dressed exactly like this, wearing this shirt.
I didn't see you.
No, I don't think I was there. I don't know. But it was an experience nonetheless, You cheer. You're with the fans. You're cheering. You see yourself in a little screen, and then on the main screen, it's like a web browser. On the main screen, they show you SmackDown, so you're watching SmackDown. It's fun. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a cool experience. It felt a lot like being at a WWE show, which is an experience that during this pandemic I miss maybe the most. There's a lot of things that we're missing out on during these pandemic times. But for me, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan. WWE comes to my hometown once or twice a year, and I always go. So this was as close to that as I'm going to get this year, which is really sad. Like, I don't think I've had a whole year without going to a WWE show since, I was 5 years old and I went to my first show, Like, I've been going pretty consistently my whole life, so this is a long stretch without going to a show, and the Thunderdome wasn't the same, but it was a substitute. It was as close as I'll get now, and there were similar experiences going on, and it was exciting. They want you to be all hyped up, and I was trying to be as hyped as possible so you could see me on TV. Didn't work, but it was fun, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I liked being in the Thunderdome, and I want to give a big shout out to one of our viewers and listeners, longtime friend of the show, Antoinette, out in Toronto, who sent me the link for the Thunderdome. I didn't sign up or anything. She sent me her link, which I'm not sure you're supposed to do, but whatever. They don't care as long as they have people there. So she sent me like an extra link I think she had for her son Roy, and he wasn't using it. So she sent it to me. So thank you, Antoinette. Thank you for continuing to support the Ringside Report Network. I know you're on the chat a lot. You're super chatting. We appreciate you. And if you have an extra link to Thunderdome, send it to me. Send it to Johnny North. I'll use it. Johnny might not, but I will definitely use it because it was fun. I like Thunderdome. I would do it again.
Well, that's great that you enjoyed it. For me, I don't think I'd enjoy it whatsoever. So I appreciate that people would try to send me this stuff, but I don't think I'd want to do it whatsoever.
It was interesting, though, like how WWE wanted you to cheer. Like they told you kind of how to cheer. When Roman Reigns came out at the beginning of the show, it was like, okay, show Roman what you think, make some noise, whatever, go, get that energy. But it was pretty vague. But then after Roman did the promo and offered him another shot, offered Jey Uso another shot and the rematch at Hell in a Cell, when Roman went to leave, they're like, okay, boo Roman now, boo Roman. Because now it's supposed to be clear that he's bad. So I thought that was interesting. It was interesting to get the perspective of the WWE. The opening match was a little confusing. It was Drew Gulak versus Tucker from Heavy Machinery. I'm not sure who the babyface was, so I was booing Drew Gulak and cheering Tucker. But I think Tucker was the heel. It was hard to tell.
Well,
Tucker won.
That's weird. Yeah, I would think Tucker would be the face in that because I feel Gulak, who went to Raw, by the way, I feel like he's a heel now.
Is he on Raw?
Well, he was feuding for the 24/7 title this week, no? The last 2 weeks now.
Oh, yeah. He was in that match there with Tosawa and Truth. Truth is still the 24/7 champion, by the way, and I think that's all we need to talk about the 24/7 title. Like, we've addressed it. They had a backstage deal, and they had a triple threat match on Raw that was lengthy. Like, that match was longer than it needed to be for this stupid-ass title. That happened this week, but who cares, Thunderdome. I was in the dome.
Well, my main problem is the fact that they tell you what to do, and like if you don't comply to what they do, they can pretty much kick you out. And it says that too, like they can kick you out whenever they want, kind of thing. So I'm not a huge fan of that whatsoever. Plus the whole like idea that you have to pretty much be sitting there the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, no way. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it got a bit long. Sitting there the whole time for SmackDown, it was like, it started at 7:15 too. Like, they wanted you in the thing at 7:15. You're just waiting there for 30 minutes. Well, it's like going to a show, right? You show up when, a little bit after the doors open and you wait around a bit until there's some action. It was a similar experience. You're sitting there and in a seat and you're not moving for like a couple hours, like when you go to a WWE show. But yeah, it was a little long. Like there was a certain point. I was like,
Raw.
Maybe I'm gonna bail on Thunderdome. Yeah, Raw would be like way longer. So it was, it was fun for what it was. I'd probably do it again, but if I didn't see myself on TV, I think that would be it. Like I'd probably do it one more time just for fun because I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like something I would do every week for every show,
This is a thing, though. You have to be consistent now. That's how people get on, like, TV, is that they're consistently there, and they always comply by the rules, and then once you get that, then they'll put you on TV. So you're going to have to do that at least for Raw, I'm sure, because that's going to be a lengthier time, so they'll be able to really judge you then.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to do it for Raw, so that's fine. But it was cool because at one point at the beginning, you don't see the guy, but there's like a guy talking to you. He sees you, he's talking to all the people, and he's like, oh, this person's wearing this shirt, this person's wearing that shirt, and then he's like, oh, there's a guy, NWO Wolfpack, and he's talking about me. And he's like, oh, yeah, Too Sweet. And then I flashed him a Too Sweet, and he's like, oh, yeah, there it is, Too Sweet. So he was like seeing me. It was a weird interaction, It was strange. So during the show, I was like yelling at Vince. I was just like, Vince, this is terrible. What are you doing? I was like, I don't care if Sami Zayn's supposed to be the heel. Like, I was not really obeying the rules the whole time. When they told me, okay, they're like, oh, Sami Zayn, let's see the energy. I was like, yeah, Sami, let's go, Sami. And then they're like, boo, Sami. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're booing Sami now. But I didn't like it. I didn't like booing Sami. And I was telling the camera, I was like, I don't like this. I like Sami. Sami's the best. But I'll boo for you.
See, I guess we're gonna have another problem here as well with attire, because like I don't think my attire would suit WWE. So
Yeah, that's right. Your shirt is not appropriate, John. Hateful. They were like, wear WWE shirts if you can. I was like, I can. No problem. I have several. And then I had my Undertaker coffee mug, too. I was like so official. I had my Undertaker coffee mug I was sipping out of from WWE. I had my NWO shirt. My son was sitting next to me wearing his John Cena shirt. He was jumping in the Thunderdome. Fantastic. Fantastic. We had our big inflatable John Cena hands. We were punching. It was great. Good times.
A little bit of a throw up right there in my throat. All right. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. You hate John Cena. I don't know why. Why do you dislike the greatest champions in the history of the business, like John Cena and Shawn Michaels? You can't take them.
Oh, well, Shawn, like, can we list all the reasons? I don't know if we have a long enough show for that. That's going to be rough. Cena, it's just like he tries to be the hero in everyone's eyes, and he's not really a hero.
He is a hero.
No, he's not.
He's a hero. And I got to tell you, John, I don't know if you saw Ringside Report this week, but I was on crutches for Ringside Report. I was all busted up. I hurt myself doing jiu-jitsu this week. I hurt myself doing a bridge. I bridged. I had my brother on top of me in a side control, and I went to bridge up. And you know when you bridge, your head goes, and then your toes go up, right? Like you know?
Right.
You point your toe. Okay. And when I lifted him up and over me, something happened. I felt like something just go in my toe, my big toe on my left side. And it hurt, man, and I couldn't walk at all yesterday. But by the end of the day, the next day, no more crutches, walking again, just like savage recovery, John Cena style. The fact that I am walking and I won't miss jiu-jitsu time, fantastic. Like I'm a monster right now, John. Just to tell you, John Cena is an inspiration. He is a hero because during my recovery from my injury that should have taken me out for 2 to 3 weeks, but only took me out for 24 hours, I felt like John Cena coming back from neck surgery. John Cena. They said he'd be gone a year. Came back in, 5 months? He's a hero. He's an inspiration. I don't know what your problem is, Johnny North. You don't like John Cena. Hustle, loyalty, respect. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I'm sure Alex Riley would never agree with you, but
who cares about what that jabroni thinks? Who cares about Alex Riley? He's a blip on the radar. He means nothing. Alex Riley. You're going to tell me that you're going to discount everything great that John Cena has ever done because he may or may not have buried Alex Riley? Alex Riley didn't take John Cena's advice, and John Cena was like, well, screw this guy, and he may have said some things to Vince about him. Maybe, okay? Unsure, just rumors. We don't really know what Cena did or did not do. And Alex Riley should listen to John Cena next time. Maybe he'd have a career in the wrestling business, okay? Who cares about that jabroni Alex Riley? Who cares? I'm talking about John Cena. 10 years strong, WWE's top guy. Come on. Alex Riley. He's a Miz sidekick jabroni. Who cares? Get out of here, John. Alex Riley. You're really defending that guy? Who cares about Alex Riley?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people at the time said, who cares about The Rock, right? When he got bullied by Shawn and Triple H.
No one ever said that.
Some people cared. Yeah, no one ever said that.
No one ever said that. How dare you? How dare you say that about the Dwayne? Speaking of the Dwayne, okay? This is where it's going. This is where the big match is. This is WrestleMania here, okay? The Dwayne, The Rock, the People's Champ, the most electrifying man. He's got to wrestle at WrestleMania this year. He has to. Or next year. WrestleMania 37, people or no people, which I'm thinking there's going to be some people. I don't know how many, but they're going to have some people. If America still exists, which, our thoughts are with the president. Crazy times. Guy's in the hospital with coronavirus. My God. Love him or hate him. You got to show sympathy for your fellow man. I know a lot of people are cheering this on, and I'm not with that. I don't cheer on anybody getting sick. Good, bad, indifferent. Thoughts with the guy. I hope he pulls out of it. I don't want to.
Well, especially because he's in
anybody.
that age group where it's more dangerous for him.
Very
so,
dangerous.
Yes.
A lot of people wishing ill on that man right now, and I'm seeing it all over the place. And I understand it to a certain extent. But if something really happens, I think a lot of people that wish ill on the guy are gonna think about it. Think about it real hard and maybe feel a little bit bad. You can say all the things when somebody's alive, but if they do pass away, then you don't feel the same. So it's a dangerous situation. He is the president of the United States. I think he's kind of a goofball, but I hope he survives and beats coronavirus. That's kind of nuts. It would be a bad thing if he didn't. So why are we talking about him? Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief.
Hall of Famer, WWE.
He's a WWE Hall of Famer. That's right, brother. That's right. We're talking about him because just the state of the world, WrestleMania 37. Will there be a crowd in 2021 by April 2021? Will they be able to have an arena at half capacity, a third of the capacity, 100% capacity, no capacity? What is the story? We have no idea. But I would really like to see The Rock in there. In normal times, if everything was normal, The Rock and Roman Reigns is the match to make. Without a doubt. That's been solidified just with everything that Roman has said. Head of the family, Tribal Chief, all that stuff. All the names they're bringing up. It's interesting that The Rock's name is never brought up. They talk about Alpha, Sika, Rikishi, Yokozuna, Umaga, the Usos, everybody but the real head of the family, the real top dog, the Dwayne, right? You talk about that family, the Samoan dynasty, and sure, Roman Reigns is the top guy right now in the WWE, but if they're all sitting down for a meal, all of the Samoan wrestlers are getting together, The Rock is at the head of that table, whether you like it or not. He's The Rock. Roman Reigns is cool and all, and he may be the guy now for a lot of them, and he may be, the head for a section of the family, but you get everybody together, and Cousin Dwayne is the top dog, and that's why Dwayne versus Roman at WrestleMania would be magical, would be massive. The promos leading up to it, the match itself, I don't know. It could be great. It could be great. With a crowd, it could be really good. It could be Hogan Rock good. Okay? This story, this Roman Reigns thing, the Tribal Chief, yeah, that's right. That's right, John. I said it.
Glad I wasn't drinking right there.
With the crowd, you're telling me, if they can get, say, 75% capacity in a stadium, okay, 50, 60,000 people, and it's the first time or one of the first times that they do it, that alone is magic. Add the Roman Reigns Rock story going into that, the match could be just huge, blockbuster. You put those two guys on a poster, that's money, right? They always say Vince likes to look at the poster of WrestleMania. How does that look? Rock, Roman, Universal title. Boom. Done. Money. License to print money. Roman talking to Jey Uso this week on SmackDown. Says, your brother acknowledged me as the leader of the family. Everybody's saying I'm the head of the family. But you, Jey Uso, you won't acknowledge me. What do I have to do? Do I have to give you another match? You want another shot? You want to go at Hell in a Cell? And Jey Uso's like, yeah, give me another shot. Which, I'm watching the promo and I'm like, well, Roman beat you severely at Clash of Champions, right? He cheated a bit to win, but he also beat him down pretty bad. What makes Jey Uso think that he's got a shot at beating Roman?
He explained it.
Yeah? Well,
He said he wouldn't have lost. It's because Jimmy threw in the towel. That's why he lost. He said he would have never lost that match.
he was so done. Like, Roman had him beat several times but refused to pin him. He speared him, 2-3 times? He would have been... we've seen everybody in WWE go down to that pin. You're telling me Jey Uso wouldn't have lost? You're telling me Jimmy Uso cost him the match by throwing in the towel, even though Jey was, near death, getting destroyed and decimated by Roman? Doesn't make sense. And now they're going to wrestle at Hell in a Cell. And the match was just not that good at Clash of Champions. And I don't want to see it again. So that's a bit of a problem for me. I love this Roman Reigns character, though. I think he's fantastic. The promos have been great. The presentation with Paul Heyman, the way Heyman reacts to him, the tribal chief, head of the family, head of the table, all that stuff, I think it's great. And I think, if done properly, could lead to a gigantic match with The Rock at WrestleMania. But the match itself, Jey and Roman at Clash of Champions, was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Way too long for what it was. Right? I don't think anybody wants to see this again. So, that's the... the story will advance and, okay, but I really don't know how much further you can go with the Jey Uso thing. I feel like they've kind of proven their point. And now what? Roman beats him up and pins him? And then we're done? Feels like filler for Hell in a Cell. Feels like, we don't really have much else for Roman. Let's just do the Jey Uso thing again, right?
Well, I think the problem is the draft, right? I mean, you don't want to bring in someone new and they're going to lose to Roman right away. Mm-hmm. You're going to just finish this off, whatever is left of it, because to me, there's really not much left to it whatsoever. I don't know why we have to do this again, but I think they have nothing else to do, so we're getting this, sadly. Mm-hmm. And if anything, it's just to give Roman more heat, because I guess he doesn't have enough heat. So he needs to be more ruthless in Hell in a Cell, possibly.
I guess, people still like Roman. They're going to try and cement him as that evil guy. This might be the blow-off match between Roman and Jey Uso. There is that draft. So the fact that they set this match up this week makes you wonder maybe Jey Uso's going to be bumped off SmackDown next week. That's why they set this up now, so that they could still do it at Hell in a Cell if they're moving the Usos over to Raw, right? Is there any chance they move Roman over to Raw? Is there any chance that Roman and Drew switch spots as champions?
I think there's a better chance we'll see the Intercontinental and U.S. champions switch shows, which I don't think is going to happen either, but it could possibly happen.
Usually in a draft, people of note switch brands, especially like champions. A lot of times the champions will swap out, right? It happens quite often, but I don't see Roman leaving SmackDown right now. He's Universal Champion.
Didn't we do this already?
It's blue, I don't know. Did he?
Yeah, we did this last time, didn't we? Didn't the Universal title go to SmackDown?
Wasn't Bray Wyatt the champion or something? He was WWE champion. What happened there?
Well, I believe what happened, we had two champions, I think, on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
But Brock quit SmackDown.
Yeah. Which you can do for some reason. Yeah, that was weird.
Brock can do whatever, right? So that makes sense. But
Uh-huh.
Bray came to SmackDown and he won the Universal title, so that's what happened. So I don't think they'll change the titles again. Again, maybe the Intercontinental and US, but that's about it. I mean, you think about everything else, it doesn't make sense to switch the Raw and SmackDown titles because that's for their shows, right? So if anything changes, it's going to be the mid-card titles.
But the U.S. title is held by Bobby Lashley, and the Hurt Business is involved in that thing with Retribution. Do you want to move all of that over to SmackDown? Or do you just cancel all of that by moving moving the Hurt Business to SmackDown? And if you move the U.S. title with Bobby, do you move the rest of the Hurt Business? Or do you just break up this group during the draft? Already, where's Cedric? Where's Cedric? By the way, didn't see Cedric at the pay-per-view. Didn't see Cedric on Raw. Didn't see his wife, Big Swole, on Dynamite this week either. One of them's got the Rona. I mean, come on, right? Somebody's got the Rona in that household. Neither of them are on TV this week. Cedric's got this brand new thing. He's with the Hurt Business all of a sudden. And then he disappears. They said on Raw, MVP's like, we sent him to Hurt Business boot camp to teach him how to be a good member of the Hurt Business. I was like, well, yeah, okay. That's bullshit. That's a lie. Where is he really? Right? Somebody's got the Rona. Him or Swole, right? They're married. They're both wrestlers. Big Swole, she's on Dynamite. Cedric is on Raw. Big Swole, her not showing up on Dynamite this week, that's not super suspicious. She's not on Dynamite every week. It's one show, they can't fit everybody in. But Cedric not on Raw or the pay-per-view with the rest of his Hurt Business dudes when he just joined the group? Come on. Right? And where's Retribution? So Retribution wasn't on Raw, and Raw Underground wasn't on Raw because Retribution has a bunch of NXT people, and Raw Underground has a bunch of NXT people, and all of those people are quarantined because of the coronavirus outbreak, right? That's what happened to all those people.
Kind of crazy because Keith Lee was on the show, and yet Mia Yim, I guess, can't be on the show, so that's interesting. And they're a couple, so
they are?
It's interesting.
I didn't know that.
They are. Well, now you know.
Yeah, cool. Braun Strowman, also not on the show, on either show. He's a SmackDown wrestler technically, but he was in Raw Underground last week wrestling Dabba-Kato. Dabba-Kato getting beat by Braun last week. Doesn't show up this week, just missing in action. And Braun also missing in action. So what's up with Braun? Like, because he was in NXT, he's contaminated? Or does he have coronavirus? Like, where did Braun Strowman go? It's a little weird. He has this Raw Underground appearance with Dabba-Kato. Maybe they were going to do more with Braun on Raw Underground, but because they couldn't do Raw Underground, they didn't use Braun. I don't know. A lot of mysteries in the WWE these days that they don't really give you the answer to because they've told their talent that if you have COVID-19, don't say anything. So we just have to guess when people that should be on the show are not on the show, like Braun Strowman, like Cedric Alexander, like a lot of people where you're like, what happened to, Strange. What do you think?
Well, if they're not there, I automatically think they probably have COVID or they got in contact with someone with COVID, so they're in quarantine. Mm-hmm. Well, I automatically think that. So, I mean, they can say whatever they want, but they just don't like to report about that kind of stuff. So I have to obviously believe my own beliefs now because they don't tell us the truth.
That's why you got to pay attention and watch Wrestling Uncensored because we are here telling you what we see because we are really paying attention. We're taking notes and watching every show. Literally. Watching the shows, taking notes every week, letting you know what's going on, and keeping a close eye on everything in the WWE. If they slip up, we're gonna be there and we're gonna see it. Is the Hurt Business just like getting jobbed out now? Are they just maybe they'll just get rid of Hurt Business? They lost to Mustafa Ali, Rick O'Shea, and Apollos Crews. Mustafa getting the pinfall on MVP after a 450 splash. Like, I don't understand the Hurt Business. They're not booked particularly strong. Sometimes they're heels when they're against, Ricochet and friends. Sometimes they're baby faces when they're against Retribution. Maybe they do just break this whole group up in the draft because it doesn't seem like they have any kind of plan.
I keep them together. I mean, you got Survivor Series coming up soon. You're going to need a big faction like that for a Survivor Series match at least. And it's something different on Raw, which you kind of need. You need these factions if you're going to have these major factions like Retribution around.
Mm-hmm. I don't see the Hurt Business moving, which means the U.S. title doesn't move, which means the Intercontinental title doesn't move, which means Sami Zayn stays on SmackDown. I'll tell you who's going to Raw, AJ Styles. He lost clean to Jey Uso on SmackDown this week. That's got to be...
Didn't he just go to SmackDown?
Yeah, but he went to SmackDown because Paul Heyman was in charge of Raw, and he hates Paul Heyman. And now Paul Heyman's on SmackDown, So AJ Styles is going to go to Raw to get away from Paul Heyman because he can't stand that guy. Okay? So AJ is leaving. He's going to Raw. He will be drafted. It's done. It's 100%. Him losing to Jey Uso, I was like, oh, what happened there? It must be pushing Jey and hoping that people that watch SmackDown don't also watch Raw so that when AJ Styles shows up, it's like impressive. But he'll get a win on his first night on Raw and it'll all be forgotten. I don't know why they don't use Joseph Parks more with the AJ Styles promos. They have great chemistry together. They're really good. I don't know why they don't have Joseph Parks on screen more with AJ Styles, but that's another issue. But after losing to Jey Uso, biggest win in Jey Uso's career. I don't care about any of the tag team titles he's won. As far as a singles wrestler, you just beat AJ Styles in the middle of the ring. AJ Styles. That's huge for Jey Uso. So, and they needed to do that, right, to make Jey Uso look credible for the rematch against Roman after he just got absolutely squashed on pay-per-view. Got to give you a reason to believe in Jey again. But I'd bet anything that AJ Styles is going to move over to Raw next week. It's happening, John.
Well, he kind of needs to. I mean, if you lose to someone like Jey Uso, granted they're building him to face Roman, it just feels like AJ doesn't really belong on SmackDown anymore. Because like he should have easily won that match, and if he can't win that match anymore, he kind of needs a reboot. And if anything, going to another show is going to help him. And that's sad. Like, he was only on SmackDown for a couple months, and he already needs a reboot. They used him poorly.
Put him on Raw. Give him the title.
Yeah, I wish. I don't think it's going to happen. It's got
Why
to go to
not?
Randy.
Randy. It's not going to happen for Randy. Randy's going to lose to Drew, solidify Drew as the guy, and then AJ will just, take the title from him. Here's AJ. Phenomenal one. That's what I want to see. AJ on top. Otis beats John Morrison on SmackDown this week. I think they move Otis over to Raw. I think that would be a smart move because Otis, with the Money in the Bank right now, chasing Roman, I don't know. Have Otis go to Raw, have AJ go to Raw, have AJ as the champion, and have Otis try and cash in on AJ. Otis and AJ on top feuding is what I want to see on Raw. I would rather that than what we currently have. This constant Randy Orton sneak attacks on the Legends and the Legends helping Drew for some reason. I don't like that.
You didn't like Splinter Cell, Randy? I think a lot of people like that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't play that game.
Well, just with the goggles, the way he had the goggles like that, that's very Splinter Cell.
Yeah, so Raw. Do you think Otis should move over to Raw?
Well, I feel like they kind of gave it away because they mentioned that he can cash in on any like champion. They mentioned the WWE title or the Universal title, so it just feels like it's going to happen. Plus, Mandy's on Raw.
Yeah,
so
the Peach.
It just makes a lot of sense. However, we got to get through this whole court thing that's supposed to happen next week, so he's got to finish the thing with the Miz first.
Yeah,
that's important.
Sure. No, it's not. It's stupid. Finish the court. Miz is suing Otis for the Money in the Bank briefcase for some reason. I don't understand how Miz has a case. I don't understand why this is a story. I don't really see why we're going through this. Otis beating John Morrison this week. I think Otis is going over to Raw. You think Daniel Bryan gets drafted? Do we see the return of D-Bry? They need him. They need a guy like Daniel Bryan. He's a top star. He's a great wrestler. He can talk. He's a superstar. They need guys like Daniel Bryan around.
Right, but I think you also want to appease the people on Fox and keep a lot of big stars on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'd rather have Daniel Bryan there than not have Daniel Bryan there. You're going to lose AJ Styles. Who's going to fill the hole of AJ Styles?
Daniel Bryan.
There's been no people. There's no people that came back from that supposed trade of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke.
That's true. That's a good point. Was Dana Brooke traded to Raw as well? I thought she was on SmackDown or Raw the whole time. Just Mandy was traded, right?
I thought she was on SmackDown. I could be wrong, but I thought she was on SmackDown.
I don't know. I like Mandy and Dana as a tag team. They look like a tag team. You know, they have a similar look. They look good together, you know? I like it.
The look is fine. I just thought the promo was very phony. How like Mandy was like, "Oh, I always looked up to you, Dana." I didn't believe that whatsoever.
Nah. And what'd you think of the match?
Well, Mandy almost killed Lana, if I remember correctly, with that like brainbuster sidewalk slam that she did.
Yeah.
So I would have been kind of pissed if that happened. But I don't think Lana likes to give out receipts, so
What you gonna
I
do?
don't think any harm will happen to Mandy.
Yeah, not the best, but you know, what do you expect there? It's Mandy Rose versus Lana. Well, Mandy and Dana versus Natty and Lana. Mandy getting the pin on Lana though. Yeah, I'd like to see Daniel Bryan come back soon. I miss that guy. Sami Zayn is probably going to need an opponent for the Intercontinental Championship. He beats Jeff Hardy in the main event of SmackDown to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I liked the finish of that match with Jeff bumping his face on the exposed turnbuckle, allowing Sami to get the win. He cheated to
That was
win, but it
stupid.
was kind of within the rules. Why? Why is that stupid?
Within the rules, the ref, like the whole match that was exposed, the ref did nothing to try to like make sure it was covered again. And it was
The
clearly done in front of the ref that he pulled the guy, hit his face right in the exposed turnbuckle. No DQ? That's stupid. That's
you're
terrible.
you're allowed to do that. It's
No, you're
in
not
the
allowed
ring.
to do that.
No, you're allowed to do that if the buckle is exposed. That's why guys expose the buckle, because you can use the ring to your advantage. Why would you be allowed to whip a guy into the ring steps without getting disqualified? Because you're allowed to use the environment to your advantage. The referee is supposed to stop you from exposing the buckle, and if he can't stop you, then he's supposed to reattach the buckle so that you could do a spot behind his back while he's reattaching the buckle. That's how wrestling works, John. I shouldn't have to explain this to you.
So where did it stop working where the ref didn't even try to put the covering back on the
He
buckle? Because
because
that
he didn't
happened
know
at the beginning of the match.
he didn't know where it went, because he didn't see Sammy do it. No one saw Sammy do it, by the way. They had to show us a replay later on of Sammy during Jeff's entrance. The referee was distracted by Jeff Hardy's awesome dancing. You know, the you know, the referee
Right.
couldn't contain himself, as we all are, entranced by the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy. Right? So when Brother Nero starts coming out and dancing, the referee's looking at him like, oh my God, that's Brother Nero. I can't believe it. And Sami Zayn, he's very sneaky. He goes into his corner, acting like he's not doing anything, but he takes the turnbuckle off, and then he whipped it far ringside, probably in the Thunderdome, where the referee couldn't find it again to reattach it to the ring post. Makes a lot of sense to me. The referee should have done a better job of finding the turnbuckle, but he couldn't find the turnbuckle. Sammy used the ring to his advantage to get the victory over Jeff Hardy. You are allowed to use the exposed buckle in a match. You always have been. It's up to the referee to put that turnbuckle back in its spot. Put the padding back on the turnbuckle. I watch a lot of Toru Yano matches, and like most of Toru Yano's offense is exposing turnbuckles. Like, he's a wrestler in New Japan, fantastic wrestler, great, really entertaining guy, and you know, he's always exposing the turnbuckles, and the referee's always trying to stop him. But it's within the rules. Oh, WWE too. Like, they used to expose the buckle way more than they used to, but that's a classic spot. You know, you go to the turnbuckle, you expose the turnbuckle, and you're not even really doing it so that the buckle's exposed to hit your opponent there. You're doing it so that the ref has to, you know, turn his back and tie the turnbuckle so that you could low blow your opponent or rake him in the eyes or something like that. You know, it's a classic wrestling spot. Always been done. Where have you been?
I feel it was done a lot better back then, and I feel like it was against the rules to use that. But they've changed things. I mean, they changed things in tag matches now. Apparently, the guy in the ring apron, if he hits the guy, it's a DQ now. So they change things all the time.
Yeah, that happened. When did that happen? Last week?
That was the main event last week.
Yeah. The guy in the apron in Retribution hit the guy, and it was DQ for some reason, right? Or no, other way around?
No, that's it. Yeah,
Retribution,
that's
yeah.
what happened.
The
Yeah.
illegal man. Yeah, well, I think that was a miscommunication, right? Like the referee got confused. He wasn't supposed to call for the bell there. That was a mistake, I
We've
think.
actually seen that before, actually. Remember, it happened in the Seth Rollins Rey Mysterio tag match. Almost the exact same thing happened, and they called that exactly like that. A legal man on the apron hit the legal man. DQ.
It was because Bobby Lashley had one of the Retribution guys in the full Nelson, right? In the thing, in his Hurt Business thing.
Right.
And so the illegal man came in and hit Bobby Lashley to make the save. But the referee didn't view it as making the save because you're allowed in WWE's rules to make the save. But in WWE's rule book that they give the referees, like, this is a shoot. Like, they legit tell the refs, if wrestler does this, disqualify him. If the illegal man hits the, a guy, the legal man, his opponent, when he's not part of the match, that's the ref's supposed to just call a disqualification, right? Which, is weird. But because the ref didn't view it as you're allowed to make a save. Like, if your partner's getting pinned, you're allowed to come in and kick the guy, but you're only allowed one save per match. If you do it again, you get disqualified, technically, in the WWE's rule book. So the ref didn't see it as a save, even though the partner saw it as saving his partner from Bobby Lashley's full Nelson, right? The Retribution guys. So it's very complicated, but the ref was not supposed to call for the bell. Like, that was not the planned finish last week, but it just happened anyways because he didn't want to get in trouble for, allowing the illegal man to attack. And that just shows you, like, how scared everybody is in WWE. The ref screwed up because he was scared that somebody was going to yell at him for not obeying these arbitrary rules that Vince has made up for some reason. It's just dumb.
Why do we complain about these rules that they, choose to use and then ignore from one week to the next? So, does it really matter that much?
No, it's just they micromanage these things, and it's just like, man, just let the ref do his thing, let him go for the finish, and I don't know. But, WWE has this thing where they don't like to have their refs exposed. They don't like the dumb ref that is so common in wrestling is something that the WWE has tried to get away from, right? They tried to make it look more legit and try to make the ref not look stupid in every match.
Now they're bringing it back with the stupid refs now.
Yeah, I think, once in a while it's good to have a ref, bump or a ref, get confused or look the wrong way when the heel does something. But the WWE, I feel like they don't do it enough. Then I watch AEW and I feel like, well, the ref is constantly exposed there. So you got to find that balance. But in AEW, like,
Right.
Guys will be doing illegal things. People will be interfering in matches, and the ref will be looking right at them, and he won't call for the bell. I've seen tag team matches in AEW. Who was it? Somebody got jumped in a tag team match. They were juring, and it was just like fighting with somebody else, and the ref totally saw it, and then the team was just like down a man. It was like Kenny and the Bucks and Hangman or something.
That was the first. That was like last year, actually.
Was it? No, it was recent. More recent than that.
Show.
More recent than that. They were like down a man.
Okay.
I don't know.
The first show was that.
It happens a lot with the refs, right? The refs in AEW, they get exposed big time. We'll talk about AEW in a little bit. I want to wrap up some of this WWE stuff that we're doing here. Sami Zayn retaining over Jeff Hardy. I think Sami remains on SmackDown. I could see Jeff going over to Raw, though, right? A little refresh.
I guess. There's really no one else to feud with, I suppose. But, that Roman versus Jeff Hardy match, I think that could be very interesting.
Yeah. Roman's stuck with Jey Uso, though, for another pay-per-view. 3 more weeks of build before we get the pay-per-view on the 25th. Hell in a Cell. We'll be doing a watch-along here on the channel for that. But, I don't know. Roman, Jeff Hardy seems like a long way away. And if Jey Uso's getting another shot here, maybe not. Maybe Daniel Bryan will be next for Roman Reigns. It's possible. Matt Riddle, Lince Dorado, and Grand Metalik beat Cesaro, Shinsuke, and King Corbin. Riddle hit Cesaro with his Bro Derek move, which, like, I was like, is Riddle doing Cesaro's own move to him? What's the difference between the neutralizer and the Bro Derek? Because it looked pretty much the same doing it on Cesaro this week.
Well, one's like a stuffed tombstone, and one's like a pile driver. So
it's just reverse, right? It's the same move, but in reverse. Riddle has him facing him. Cesaro has him facing out. But it's essentially the same move. Like when Riddle was hooking him, I was like, this looks like a neutralizer. So they basically do have the same finisher. It was strange that Riddle was hitting it on Cesaro. I was like, is he doing Cesaro's move to him? Odd.
Well, I think it's because they didn't want Corbin to take the pin. So Cesaro ate it.
Here's an idea. Let's swap the tag team champions. I mean, let's unify the tag team champions, really, but let's swap the teams because Cesaro and Shinsuke are kind of stale on SmackDown, but even more so, the Street Profits, very stale on Raw. They need a refresh. And Bianca Belair should go with them to SmackDown because she's not doing anything on Raw other than doing those video packages. It almost feels like they're rebooting her, so give her a new brand. Put them all on the blue brand. That's what I think. Swap the tag team champions. I don't think you swap the Intercontinental and U.S. I don't think you swap the women's champions, although maybe. But nah, I wouldn't. I would keep Asuka where she is. I don't think you swap the top champions, the heavyweight men champions there, Drew and Roman. I do think you swap the tag team champions. Those would be the champions I would swap.
Well, I look at Raw, I believe there's only, 2 teams at most? So I wouldn't want to get drafted to Raw unless there's a bunch more tag teams coming over.
Are Andrade and Angel Garza even still a team?
Well, Andrade, blew out, his quad or something, right? So
he did?
It looks like he's out.
Oh.
I don't know if he had surgery yet or not, but it looks like he's going to be out for a while.
I didn't know he was injured. That's rough for Andrade. I didn't see.
So
that.
I'm sorry, not Andrade, Garza. Garza got injured, not
because Andrade was on Raw this week. No, Garza is injured, but apparently he's not gonna be out for very long. Yeah, Garza's hurt. I didn't know Andrade was hurt because he's not hurt, John. You got me confused there. Apparently, he's not going to be out for very long. Tension in his quad. He got an MRI. Nothing with the tendons. 15 days. A week to 15 days he'll be out. So, Garza will not be out for long, but I'm more wondering because Andrade cut this whole promo about Zelena Vega and how she's nothing without him. And Andrade, I couldn't understand half the things he was saying because his English is not too great. And then he kind of switched to Spanish. It was hard to understand Andrade, to be honest. But he said something about he was the reason why his team with Angel Garza was kept together and that he's the greatest in the WWE. It was a bit of a weird promo from Andrade, but it seemed to me like he was going out on his own in that promo, saying, I don't need Zelena. Angel Garza, I was the heart of that team. I'm sick of all of them. The team is done. It's Andrade time. And then Andrade wrestles Keith Lee and loses to Keith Lee. But, I don't know. Did you get the same feeling that the team was over? I couldn't really understand Andrade's promo, so I don't really know what he was trying to say, other than he doesn't like Zelena Vega. That was clear.
Yeah, just that he was the heart of the team, and him and Zelena seem to be done. If anything, he seems to be the opposite of AJ. It seems like he's going over to SmackDown.
Okay. That makes sense. Back in the singles division for Andrade, but that does, kill another team off from the very, very thin tag team roster. So, I don't know. Asuka beats Zelena Vega on Raw this week. Zelena losing 2 straight to the champion. I would hope for her sake that she gets moved over to SmackDown because, what are they going to do with her on Raw? But, of course, as we know, John, if Zelena moves, Aleister Black also has to move. Hey, the whole Zelena thing doesn't work. Remember, like several drafts in a row now, there's been the Zelena Vega Andrade issue, where if they were drafted because they're together, then their significant others had to be drafted too. You had Charlotte Flair for Andrade and Aleister Black, who's the husband of Zelena Vega. But now, Andrade and Zelena aren't together, so you could move Zelena over to SmackDown, and all you would have to do is make sure that Aleister Black follows her over there, which I could see happening, especially since I think Kevin Owens is going to SmackDown. He cut this whole promo. He hosted the Kevin Owens show on SmackDown this week. I feel like they're already telling you Kevin Owens is on SmackDown because he was there this week and he's going to be there next week, and there happens to be a draft. A little suspicious. I think Kevin Owens is going to SmackDown. He got attacked by The Fiend. He was interviewing Alexa Bliss on the show. Alexa talked about how much she loves The Fiend and how when he's around you, your spine goes cold, and when he touches you, your body goes numb. And I was like, okay, Alexa, this is weird. And then she's like, I've been cleansed. My brain has been washed by The Fiend. And then she says, oh, he's here. Let him in. And then The Fiend shows up, puts a mandible claw on Kevin Owens. Alexa watches and then holds hands with The Fiend. It's the creepy deal with Alexa and The Fiend, which I'm not loving, but whatever. I've seen worse from The Fiend. But Kevin Owens versus The Fiend should be an interesting match on SmackDown. Do you think he's going to SmackDown, KO?
Well, he's going to wrestle on SmackDown next week, right? So there's that going to happen at least. I don't know. Like, it just seems like there's more with him and Aleister Black. So, I mean, if he's going to SmackDown, Aleister Black has to go to SmackDown because it feels like that's not done yet. So that has to, whatever happens, they're going to be on the same show, I think, for sure. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm looking forward to this match, though. I think this could be sort of an even better feud for Kevin. Him and The Fiend, to me, I just think promos, I think even towards the match, this could be one of the better things that they do, actually, with Kevin.
Yeah, but I don't see Kevin coming off on the winning end of this whole thing, right?
I could see it being pretty even. Like, he's not going to completely lose. Like, say they did like 3 pay-per-view matches, he definitely will win at least one. I could see him very well win the second one, too. It's not impossible.
And you're very hopeful for our boy Kevin Owens. I hope you are right. I think he's fantastic. I thought the Kevin Owens
did have
show
a problem
was
with
all right.
the motivation, though. I didn't like how he went to SmackDown so he could help understand Aleister Black better by this. I'm like, that doesn't. Why would you ever do that? That is ridiculous. Bad writing.
It was weird, and he's so interested in Alexa Bliss and what's going on with her. Like, he had to go to SmackDown to ask her these questions. That was the other thing, right? Like, he's just so fascinated with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. Like, he needs to know what's up with you, Alexa. Like, that was not great. I didn't like that too much. But hey, it gets him on SmackDown, and he's going to wrestle The Fiend on SmackDown. They're trying to do a good SmackDown next week, right? Like, they have the draft starting, Kevin versus The Fiend, Big E versus Sheamus, Falls Count Anywhere, and Bayley versus Sasha for the SmackDown Women's title.
That is pretty big for a SmackDown, yes.
Right? Like, they're trying. They are trying for a SmackDown next Friday. Do you think...
How many clean finishes do we get?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to get 0. one. Well, I think we'll get one at least. Thank you.
Falls count, yeah.
Yeah, Falls Count Anywhere. You have to get a finish there. So I think Big E will probably get the win over Sheamus, and that'll be that. Maybe Big E for Roman going forward. I think they are trying to get to that at some point.
Got to build Big E up higher first.
Yeah, well, that's it. Win over Sheamus, and then a win over somebody else, and then he might be where he needs to be. Big E and The Fiend at some point would not be a bad move to get him ready for Roman. As far as Bayley and Sasha, who do you see coming out on the winning end of that? You don't think we see a winner? Because I could see Sasha taking the title. You know, staying on SmackDown with it, but maybe taking the title from Bayley, and then Bayley taking it right back from her at Hell in a Cell?
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a match. They're just going to end up brawling, and that's why we're going to need Hell in a Cell to contain them, kind of thing.
Yeah. That sounds more WWE. I believe you, John. I think you're right about that. Probably don't get a conclusive finish. They probably brawl, and they have to find a way to contain them. Hell in a Cell is the only way, pal. And you're expecting 3 Hell in a Cell matches at that pay-per-view, right? We have Roman versus Jey Uso, which I think is official now. Bayley versus Sasha, which does make sense. And Randy versus Drew. Randy Orton this week. Ugh. That was not great stuff.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
I didn't love it. Ric Flair, Big Show, Christian, and Shawn Michaels are all in the ring celebrating what they did to Randy Orton at Clash of Champions. They all ganged up on Randy to help Drew win in the ambulance match. Drew talks about his history with all the guys and puts them over. Shawn says, we all got together after Randy attacked us, and we devised a plan for revenge, and we hope that you're not mad at us, Drew McIntyre, that we did this. We interfered in your match, and if you are mad, well, it was nature's fault. Shawn Michaels laugh. And then Randy Orton shows up on the Tron, and he's like, I'm not done with you until I'm WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. And Drew's like, what are you here to beg for another match? And Randy's like, I don't have to beg. I'm Randy Orton. They're going to give me another match. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And Randy's like, well, there's a price to be paid when you mess with the legend killer. And then he leaves the building. Or does he? And then Drew McIntyre issues an open challenge to anyone that he hasn't faced yet for the WWE title. And no one comes out. Nobody. Whole roster full of, as Chuck Taylor would call them, weenies. Nobody's got the cojones to step out and challenge a WWE champion. You have a whole roster on Raw that you made look like shit by issuing an open challenge for your top title. And, I mean, eventually somebody did answer the challenge, but it took, the whole show. It took like 3 hours for somebody to muster up the courage. And it was a guy that we haven't seen for months. I don't think anybody believed that Bobby Roode was going to win the title when he showed up at the end of the show to wrestle Drew McIntyre in a long-ass match that he eventually lost via pinfall after the Claymore. Like, that was obvious. But, like, you issue an open challenge and no one comes out? That was pathetic. Also, like, in the very next segment, okay, then you have Asuka beating Zelena Vega, but then Andrade's in the ring, he cuts a promo, and Andrade issues an open challenge. And of course, that's immediately answered by Keith Lee. So, Keith Lee, scared of Drew McIntyre, not scared of Andrade. The whole Raw roster, scared of Drew McIntyre, except Seth Rollins and Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler, because they've all faced Drew for the title, so they were disqualified from even facing Drew because he said anybody who hasn't faced me before. But everybody else on Raw, scared. Scared of Drew. That was bad. Didn't like that.
Well, they make Drew like he's the greatest thing in the world, so are you really that surprised? I'm not really that surprised. Drew was able to beat Randy with a broken jaw. And he's still wrestling with a broken jaw, and he won on Raw.
God. How sick would it have been, like, Drew issues an open challenge, and he's like, anybody who I haven't defended the title against, and fucking Brock Lesnar comes out, and fucking beats his ass, takes the title. When's Brock get a rematch? Is Brock ever coming back?
You say The Rock and Roman. I could see Roman and Brock, actually.
Nah, it's been done. Done to death. What, they feud over Paul Heyman's love? Pfft, come on. I don't want to see that. Rock and Roman makes so much sense, man. Like, Roman's going around saying he's head of the family. Is he really?
It is a great story. It's just, can you get The Rock? That's the big thing.
I think you can. I think you can, and like, especially for
He's
that.
bigger than WWE though. It's tough.
Yeah, I know he is, but like, for a match with Roman at Mania with this type of build, with Roman as champion for so long, you tell Dwayne he's gonna win too. I mean, although I don't think Dwayne would want to win. I think he'd probably he'd job to Roman. Roman, you are the head of the family. You are the tribal chief. Like, if he gives him the respect at the end of the match and he's like, "Yep, you're the man now. Head of the family." That'd be big.
Well, if WrestleMania ends up in Florida, which is a very good chance,
Yeah.
then I mean, they really need to get The Rock, because if they're gonna sell at that stadium, they'll need him.
You talked about dumb refs before, right? And there was like
Oh,
a
boy.
ref. There was a ref gimmick going on, right? Well, there was like a ref story. What happened?
Talking about the Aleister Black and Kevin Owens match?
Yeah. So, and the
boy,
ref
yeah.
is Drake Wirtz. Is that his name?
Oh, I forgot that the refs still have names.
Oh, well, he's like the ref that used to wrestle, right? Isn't he? He's the QAnon ref, right? He's the ref that has like this QAnon thing. He's Drake Younger. He was a wrestler, and he's big into like the QAnon conspiracy theory. He believes that there's like a group of elites in some sort of pedophile network, like he's like trying to raise awareness for that. He's one of those guys. He's got people wearing t-shirts, Nia Jax was wearing one. He's a character. You ever heard about this guy?
Nope, never heard of him.
Oh. Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, something went odd in that match, because there was like a bump, right? Or like an accidental bump. And he called for the DQ, and it was kind of really terrible. It's like, I thought the match was great, and then that stupid finish happened. I'm like, well, this was a great way to ruin a good match.
Yeah, so it was a good match between Kevin Owens and Aleister Black, and then Black got into the referee's face, and then kind of turned around, and the ref bumped, and the ref was like, "Oh, disqualification!" But it was like the ref was being painted as the guy who was like being petty, like he shouldn't have disqualified Aleister Black, even though Aleister Black was the heel. And then Owens hit the stunner on Black after the match. It was a weird finish. And it put heat on the ref for some reason, which, why are you putting heat on the ref? Shouldn't you be putting heat on Aleister Black? Shit was dumb. And, it was a QAnon ref. QAnon ref, Drake Wirtz. It's my favorite ref. He's the only ref I know. Well, him and Little Nate. Little Nate is actually my favorite ref, Charles Robinson.
I feel like they still acknowledge his name. That's about it, though. Everyone else is just, the ref.
Who's your favorite ref of all time?
I like Nick Patrick just for being over the top. Mike Hildebrand was good too. He was very over the top. A lot of WCW refs were actually really good.
My favorite ref was the ref in TNA who wore the tight bicycle shorts. He didn't wear pants. He was like jacked. He wore tight bicycle shorts. He was a bald guy. Senior referee, right. Slick Johnson. His name was Slick Johnson. He wore bicycle shorts. He was jacked. I'm not sure what his deal was, but he's my favorite ref of all time because he looked like a human penis and his name was Slick Johnson. He looked like a Slick Johnson. His head was all shiny and he was all like oiled up. Like he looked like a wrestler, except he was the ref, and his name was Slick Johnson. Oh, shit. I mean, obviously, Baby Earl Hebner, great ref, but Slick Johnson for me doesn't get better than that. Mostly for the name and the look. Like, why wasn't he wearing pants? Why was he so jacked? What was his deal?
I couldn't answer you that. I feel like he may have been WCW as well.
Slick
so maybe
Johnson?
he knew, he may have knew, Jeff Jarrett or Vince Russo prior to TNA, possibly. That's how he got in.
He must
And
have.
maybe they just liked his look, and they gave him that gimmick for whatever reason. TNA, they were trying different things. It was a mixture of a lot of different things.
But he never
Very
had a
much
gimmick. Like they never really did anything with him. It was just that he was a normal ref, except he had a bit of a look and he didn't wear pants. And his name was Slick Johnson. Just the name fucking popped me every time. Slick Johnson. Like Vince would never allow a ref like that in his company because it would take too much attention away from the performers. And I will admit, like there were a lot of matches, you know, Chris Sabin would be wrestling, but I was looking at Slick Johnson. You know, it was like Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, but Slick Johnson's there. What's Slick Johnson doing, you know? Sorry, Sanjay.
It's just funny because you bring that up, but just how Vince, like, got upset because, like, during the match, the announcers would keep saying the referee's name instead of, like, the wrestlers. And Vince was like, who the heck is this person? And that's how referees lost their names.
Yeah.
Just hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. I remember one time I was at a Survivor Series show. I think Survivor Series 08. Undertaker and Big Show were wrestling on the stage. I think it was a casket match, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Charles Robinson was the referee, right? Boston. Charles Robinson was the referee. And we see him and we're like, oh, Little Nate, you know? We're like, hey, Little Nate. And he like kind of acknowledged us for a second because like Taker wasn't that close to us, right? So he's like, yeah, man, you know? He gave us a little thumbs up. And then we're like, yeah. And then we start chanting louder for Little Nate. And he kind of looked over at us and was like, okay, that's enough. Because if the fans are chanting for Little Nate and Taker and Big Show are wrestling, if Taker hears the fans chanting for the ref, I don't think you're ever going to ref Taker's match again. So we shut up out of respect for Little Nate because we didn't want Little Nate getting heat from Undertaker because we recognized at the time Taker might be pissed and we don't want to piss off Taker. Didn't want to get Little Nate in trouble. Just saying, I love Little Nate. That's how much respect I have for him. So if you're watching this, Little Nate, Charles Robinson, we stopped chanting your name because we didn't want you to get heat with Taker, okay? We know how scary Taker can be.
It's too bad. Like, the refs, get a lot of blame, but a lot of it's not their fault. A lot of it's the wrestlers that bury them.
Yeah.
So the refs get all the heat, and really it's the wrestlers that put them in such terrible spots.
Yeah, well, QAnon ref puts himself in those weird spots. Drake Wirtz. We'll see what happens there with his deal. I'm calling him QAnon ref, though, from now on. I don't care. All right? Speaking of bad things, how about the Mysterio family?
Oh, this is like one of the worst things
what? Forget
ever.
it. Forget it. Let's take a break and gather our thoughts before we even get into the Mysterio family. I'm going to tell you about our friends over at Manscaped, okay? Are you like Dominick Mysterio? Do you have no hair on your balls? Well, then get out of here. We don't need you right now because this is for men, Manscaped, okay? If you've got hair on your balls, if you've got real man balls, you need Manscaped. You need the Lawnmower 3.0. It's going to make you feel like a new man, make you feel fresh and clean. The people that see your balls will thank you. The people that go near your balls, hey, those people, those are some special people in your life, and you got to take care of them and take care of yourself by manscaping. Go to manscaped.com, use that promo code Ringside20. You get 20% off plus free shipping on your whole order. 20% off, no limit, everything you want. They've got the lawnmower. They've got the crop reviver. They've got ball deodorant. They've got everything over at manscaped.com. And when you use the promo code Ringside20, we get a little bit of a kickback. And you also help out the Ringside Report Network, but you help yourself out. It is a waterproof electric trimmer that we absolutely love, the Lawnmower 3.0, now available in Canada. Maximum skin-safe performance, combining third-generation innovations in design, power, and hygiene. Get the Lawnmower 3.0. Get all the products from Manscaped. Get yourself some crop preserver, crop reviver, crop cleanser. Cleanse that crop, baby. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20, 20% off plus free shipping. Dominick Mysterio doesn't need that because he is a child wrestling for some reason. I think he's about 6. He looks about 6. I'm one to talk.
Oh,
I don't look
I think he's 21.
as old as I am on this momentous birthday, John. I'm not going to reveal my age, but let's just say it's not what you think. Or maybe it is. Maybe I do look my age. I don't know. But Dominick Mysterio definitely does not. How old is he? 23? He looks about 6. Maybe 16. He looks young, is what I'm saying. I'm not sure if he's got hair on his balls, is also what I'm saying. Aaliyah looks young. She looks a little too young for Buddy Murphy. It's creepy. I don't like it. So
She's 19.
Yeah, she's too young for Buddy Murphy. How old's Buddy Murphy? Like 32? Come on. How old's Buddy? Seriously, how old is Buddy Murphy? Like,
I think you're right.
32? Did I get it like dead on there?
I think so.
Damn, he is 32. How the fuck did I know that? Jesus. Buddy
You're more on the
Murphy's
ball than you
32.
thought.
Huh?
I said you're more on the ball in this than you thought.
Apparently. Speaking of on the ball, Manscaped. No. Buddy Murphy, though, like, if this whole thing with Aaliyah is real, do you think he's really having sex with her? This is a real relationship, or is just for TV? Because if it's real, like, my God, this man, like, Alexa Bliss,
Real.
Aaliyah Mysterio, Buddy Murphy is like the new CM Punk.
Are we going to talk about Alexa Bliss talking about this, or did you
What do
see
you mean?
that?
No?
Apparently, like, she commented on this and, like, good for you, like, Murphy and all that, like, hashtag shoot your shot, bud. And a lot of people didn't take too kindly to that.
Why?
So, because a lot of people thought, like, it's her kind of making fun of the whole situation, and, like, it's kind of odd, like you say, like, 32, 19. Apparently, Alexa didn't know how old Ray's daughter was, so.
Well, I mean, it's legal, I think. He could if he wanted to, but I don't know. Like, is that real? Because that's weird, because Alexa Bliss and Buddy Murphy in real life were together. Never on TV, just in real life, right? Maybe on an episode of Total Divas or something. But, that was not a storyline. So Alexa Bliss talking about Buddy Murphy, is she treating it like the Aaliyah thing is real? Like, so is there something actually going on between Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy? It's possible. Things happen in pro wrestling.
I think it's more just like a wrestler commenting on something they just see on TV, and then fans overreacting and taking it in a different way. And, being like, oh, it was the ex, like going back against the other ex.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, people look into it way too much than it is. I mean, who cares? If anything, wrestlers should just realize, like, when you reply to another storyline, people are going to throw you in there. So you got to watch out for that.
Strange that Alexa Bliss would even talk about Buddy Murphy and his storyline with Aaliyah. Is
tweet? It's not the end of the world.
I think 32 and 19 is possibly not. I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I think if Buddy Murphy was actually with Aaliyah Mysterio, I think it would be fine. I mean, it's it's quite an age gap, but hey, man, people do things, and it's like not that much, right? It's 13 years? It's not that much, actually. If you think about it, it's like, it's not that bad. It's just because Aaliyah's 19, she seems very young. But, in 5 years, it would be fine. I don't think anyone would bat an eye, I don't think anyone would really notice the age difference. It's just because Aaliyah's new in WWE, and we know that she's 19, and she does look quite young. They got that from their dad, right? I mean, their dad looks super young, always looked younger than he was. Dominick looks younger than he is. Aaliyah looks young for 19, But, hey, if they're actually having sex relations with each other, good for them. Good for Aaliyah. Look at Buddy Murphy, that handsome guy. He's all jacked. Why wouldn't she want to be with that guy? See those pecs? My God. He's got good pecs, that guy. He's really in shape. Like, every time you see Buddy Murphy, he's never got a belly. He's never got an ounce of fat on him. The guy's got a tremendous physique. He's quite an athlete. He really looks impressive, you know?
Well, there's no doubt that he, worked hard for it. Performance Center, put him
Yeah.
through mighty different trials, and yeah, he worked his butt off for that. There's no question about that.
Yeah, he looks good, you know? Yeah.
I just find I think the huge problem with the storyline is this girl just started 19. You're gonna throw her in a romance storyline right away. It just seems like it was way too much right away, and she's clearly showing she's not ready for it because she might be the worst actor they've ever had in WWE history, and that says a lot.
Ooh.
But she really I can't think of anything worse than seeing her talk. There's some of the worst promos I have ever seen, and that's saying so much. But she's really wow, I've never seen someone just read a line verbatim practically with less emotion than her.
She's not good, and neither is Dominick, and they're playing off each other. You know? I don't understand why the WWE is throwing Rey Mysterio's kids into the deep end, but they are drowning in that deep end. It's not good. And Vince, there was a documentary they did about SummerSlam, and they followed around Dominick Mysterio. Did you see what Vince told Dominick after his match when he hugged him?
That was garbage.
Vince,
absolute garbage.
You know what he said, right? Vince said, very few performers can go out there and get that type of reaction every time they're out there. And I was like, Vince, there's nobody in the fucking arena, man. What the fuck are you talking about? He told Dominick nobody gets that type of reaction. He got no reaction. There's nobody there. What the fuck was he talking about?
I think what he meant was the reaction backstage. That's what I think he meant.
That reaction is out of respect for Rey. Or I don't know, man. Okay, Dominick shows some promise, but you see his match with Buddy Murphy this week?
It wasn't his best. I mean, but I think I can get why people were like, wow, that was pretty good against Seth Rollins, one of the best workers in all of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense why people would get that kind of reaction, but you've been seeing it the last couple of weeks. This is the problem with Dominick wrestling all the time. This should have been a once-in-a-while kind of thing. Him wrestling all the time, he's getting exposed.
Yep. It would have been better, I think, if they showed him less so that they could give him time to work out and improve in between matches so that, next time you see him, he's much better. But every time you see him now, it's kind of clunky, and he's learning on the job, on TV. We all have to watch this trainee get carried through a match with Buddy Murphy on TV and work an angle with his sister that's goddamn terrible. So Jerry Lawler hosts the whole Mysterio family in the ring for an interview segment, The King's Court. Rey Mysterio says his family is his whole life, and Seth Rollins is evil for all of his lies about his family. Dominick says he's going to put an end to Seth the next time he sees him. Dominick is all balls now. He's kicking everybody's ass. Jerry is like, well, what about Aaliyah? And Aaliyah's like, well, Murphy, he came to me, and I don't know what to think of Murphy. And then Aaliyah's like, Seth, he's a really bad person. Then Seth Rollins shows up on the Tron, and he's like, Aaliyah, you're not telling the truth about your feelings for Buddy Murphy. And then Seth had stolen Murphy's phone, shows friendly texts from Aaliyah wishing happy birthday to Buddy Murphy. I got the same text from Aaliyah, though. Okay, Murphy, you're not so special. Aaliyah says Murphy...
DMs, okay.
Well, whatever. Aaliyah says Murphy is not like Seth, and she walks away from the family. Murphy is backstage with Seth, and he's mad. And then Murphy grabs Seth by the scruff, and he's like, Seth. But then Dominick tackles Murphy, and they brawl a bit before they're separated by the ref, setting up the match Dominick versus Murphy later on in the night. Murphy rolls up Dominick off the distraction from Aaliyah. because Dominick had a kendo stick. Aaliyah begged him not to hit Murphy with it. Murphy then rolled up Dominick. Dominick got mad at his sister and said Murphy is trying to destroy our family's legacy, which I'm not really sure how. Maybe by impregnating Aaliyah and like ruining it that way by having Murphy in the bloodline. I don't really know. And then Dominick hits Murphy with the kendo stick, and Aaliyah is mad, and she slaps Dominick and walks away. The acting between Dominick and Aaliyah, truly, truly awful. Really bad stuff. Don't know why they're getting these two kids to carry on this very involved storyline that requires a lot of emotion, a lot of talking, a lot of screen time. The storyline doesn't really make sense either. So Aaliyah, like, she's got a thing going on with Buddy Murphy. That's what we're supposed to understand by this. And because of Alexa Bliss's comments, I now assume that this is a real-life thing, and Buddy Murphy is actually having sex with Ray's daughter, which is shocking. Maybe she's saving herself for marriage, though. They are very religious, so maybe he's not having sex with her. Maybe they're just, talking.
I just feel bad for all those guys, like job guys, all the ones that try with all these WWE tryouts and all this, and they try and try and try, and they never quite make it. And yet we get this instead. And it's like, really? Like, they weren't that good? Are you serious? Like, wow, Rey Mysterio, like, whatever he got in that contract, it must be one of the best contracts to just get his kids that aren't really talented on television like that. Great contract.
It just shows you, if you're a WWE wrestler, you're not there because of how talented you are. You're there because you've been chosen. Everybody, top to bottom. I mean, there are some guys that make it there based off their talents, but most of the people that are there are just filling the role that they want filled at the time. Like, it's not the elite of professional wrestling. It's not the top level of pro wrestling. Dominick Mysterio's on the show every week. His sister Aaliyah gets to cut promos. Their mother's there for some reason. Their father's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. The rest of his family sucks. Okay? The Mysterio family sucks. And honestly, it's making me dislike Rey Mysterio. You know who's ruining? It is. You know who's ruining the Mysterio family legacy? Rey Mysterio. If this is how you're going to be remembered, Rey, fucking retire, dude. Because this shit is making you look like trash. This makes you look like one of these guys who's just pushing his family on the rest of us. We don't want to see it. This is ruining Ray's legacy, okay? Buddy Murphy's not ruining the family's legacy. Dominick, it's not Murphy you should be attacking. It's your own father for allowing you to wrestle.
Ray's still great. I mean, you can't take away like what he's done in wrestling.
I'm taking it away. I'm taking it all away. I love Ray. You know I love Ray, but shit, man. This is making me dislike Ray. This is so bad. And who else are you going to blame? I mean, it's mostly Ray's fault, right? I'm blaming Ray. This is making me mad at Ray. Every time I see Rey Mysterio now, I'm mad, right? Like I used to see Rey Mysterio on TV and be like, yeah, Rey Mysterio, here we go. Awesome wrestling time. Now I see Rey Mysterio and I'm like, shit, now I got to watch his kids talk for 20 minutes. This is going to suck. Am I wrong?
Yeah, like, you're not wrong. No. It's just
makes me hate
just too
seeing
bad.
Ray. I'm like, no, not Rey Mysterio again. I hate this guy. Ruining his legacy, man. Because if you see Rey Mysterio for months or years or whatever, and you just hate seeing him because his kids are there with him all the time, well, I don't know, man. You're probably going to remember, the great matches he had with Eddie Guerrero, and then you're also going to remember all the shit you had to sit through with Dominick and Aaliyah.
Right. Well, that's it. I just find there's been way more good than bad. Like this is a rough patch, but there was years and years of many classic matches. So he's gonna have to do years and years of a lot of garbage like this to even out. So like, there's still more good.
It's getting there, though. It's getting there. I mean, a couple more Aaliyah promos, and I think we're done. Okay? We are done. I liked when Aaliyah was just a tattoo on Ray's arm. You know? Now she's like a character on TV. I knew Ray's daughter's name for a long time because he always had the name Aaliyah tattooed on his arm, right? Like, that was a big tattoo he had. I think it was on his arm, right? Big Aaliyah tattoo. And I remember seeing that being like, who's Aaliyah? And then I was like, oh, it's his daughter. He talked about her. Now we see her on TV. I'm like, God damn. Come on. Come on. Cowboy Bob should have kept his kid at home, too. Fuck. Sick of that guy. Whoops.
No, Randy's better than his dad ever was. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Do we have to watch? Like, Raw is so dumb. We have to watch Christian, Ric Flair, Big Show, and Shawn Michaels play poker together. That was like a few minutes. Them sitting around playing poker. I was like, is this APA? What's going on here? So, like, this is what they do when they get together on Raw. Why were they playing poker? What happened? Like, why aren't they watching the show? Why? There's so many questions that I have. They all show up on Raw together. They do the promo, and then they just sit around playing poker waiting for Randy Orton to beat them up. Like, why were they playing poker? Anybody have any idea?
They're just having fun, and they're not that group that plays video games. They were before that, so they just play cards.
Okay. They don't watch the show, though, because, like, who cares, right? Not even them.
Hey,
they're on the show. They don't even want to watch it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Show up. Don't watch the stupid show because it's bad. It's a bad show. They don't want to see Aaliyah Mysterio cutting promos either. Believe me, Ric Flair's like, are you kidding me? This is a promo? Pissed. I can't do a Ric Flair impression, but I'm sure he'd be mad watching that. I'm sure he'd be pissed. And you're leaving? You don't deserve it.
Tear in his eye.
You haven't worked for it. With a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of my life. How was that? Not great.
Not bad.
Not great. I do better impressions. Quite frankly, I do better impressions, pal. Vince McMahon. Well, okay. What'd you think of Dynamite this week? I think we've talked all the WWE we can handle. Anything else WWE you want to talk about before we move on?
Well, there is TakeOver this Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, preview it for me. What's happening? I'll give you the matches. I'll tell you what's happening. You tell me who's winning. Damian Priest is the North American champion. He defends against Johnny Gargano. Who wins? That should be a good match, though. Those are good wrestlers. I like Damian Priest. Gargano's good.
Yeah, I think that might be the opening match. I like Priest to win that one.
Yeah, should be good. Io Shirai, the Genius of the Sky, defending her NXT Women's title against Candice LeRae. Do we see maybe LeRae and Gargano win titles?
Yeah, it's tough. I still have Shirai winning this one, but it's not impossible that Candice wins this.
Like, they're trying to push them as like a power couple, It would make sense if they both came out champions after this. No? Gargano and LeRae?
It's possible. Yeah, it's very possible. It could happen that way.
I think it will.
Going against them.
I'm going for them. I think they're going to do it. Finn Balor defends against Kyle O'Reilly for the NXT title. I think Finn probably wins this one. This is not a match I really care about.
Well, it'll be a fun match to watch, but I mean, do I ever doubt Finn will lose? Like, there's no doubt Finn's going to win this match.
Yeah. This is not a big NXT card. Like, as far as, I guess they're missing a lot of people because of COVID, but
right.
Match-wise, like, I don't know. Not the best. Santos Escobar defends the NXT Cruiserweight title against Isaiah Swerve Scott. Now, John, I am not a regular viewer of NXT. Who the fuck is Santos Escobar? Who the fuck is Griff Garrison? No, I mean, who the fuck is Santos Escobar? Is he in the Dark Order?
Well, you're switching shows here with different characters here, but Escobar, he wore a mask before, and now he doesn't. And he was the one behind that whole like
son of Fantasma, El Hijo del Fantasma. That's who he was, right? Okay.
He was the one behind the whole like jumping people in masks. He was the guy behind it all.
Okay, I wasn't really following that. And he takes on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Who do you see winning? Escobar?
Oh, Escobar, for sure.
Gotta love Escobar, right? Gotta love old Escobar. Anybody named Escobar, right, Johnny? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he's a great talent.
Plata o plomo. You know what I'm saying? Plata o plomo.
Escobar. I think you want to say no fear, don't you? No?
No, plata o plomo. You know? Escobar. Narcos. Pablo Escobar. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't get that far in Narcos.
Oh, brother. It was right at the beginning when he's like, he tells the guys.
Get that far.
Well, you should watch Narcos. It was very good. Pablo Escobar, he sees these guys, and he's like, hey, plata o plomo. So he's like, money or bullets? Like, what's it going to be? Do I pay you off and you let me go? Or do I just shoot you and I go anyways? Plata o plomo. Badass. Damn, that guy was a good Escobar. So I'm going with Pablo Escobar for the win here at NXT TakeOver. He's going to win by the Cocaine Body Slam. And this is the match that I'm actually looking forward to. Here's the one match I want to see. It is Kushida. Kushida, also known as Kushida. Kushida takes on Velveteen Dream. Dream is... this guy apparently is not a pedophile. I mean, he might be, but apparently he's not. According to the WWE, Velveteen Dream, not a pedophile, totally allowed to wrestle, totally cool, don't worry about it. So as long as he's not a pedophile, I'm gonna enjoy him watching. I'm gonna enjoy watching him wrestle, because I like him as a wrestler. I like the character, but a little bit creepy now that people think he's a pedophile. You know, it's like kind of a creepy gimmick now that you think, oh, maybe in real life he's like also creepy. I thought in real life he was not creepy, so like the gimmick was really good because I was like, man, this guy not creepy in real life. Really good actor. He's like creepy. He's Velveteen Dream. Very good. Like all sexual and little slimy and, you know. But now it's like, oh, maybe he's creepy in real life. Maybe Velveteen Dream is like kind of who he is. And it's like, oh, yeah, I don't really like him as much now. But good gimmick, good character, good wrestler. You know, good look. He's got a lot going for him. But there's an element to him where, you know, there's that thing where you think, yeah, maybe he's a pedophile. You know, that's the only problem with Velveteen Dream that I could see, as far as I know, that there's a possibility that he may solicit underage boys for sex, which is, in my books, I don't know about you, Johnny North, but in my books, very uncool, like criminal. I think it's bad to do that. So if Velveteen Dream does do that, bad. I'm not fully convinced that he doesn't, though, which kind of, you know, and it seems like a lot of people aren't fully convinced that he doesn't. Yet we're still watching him wrestle, which is weird. WWE seems convinced, and I guess that's all that matters. Vince is convinced. Are you convinced? How do you feel about Velveteen Dream?
Well, look at Matt Riddle. Like, they let him wrestle, right?
Yeah.
No problems there.
Yeah.
So.
Accused of another awful thing. WWE says, no, he didn't. Riddle says he didn't. Riddle came out quite vehemently, though, saying that he did not do this, denying the accusations. Haven't heard much from Velveteen.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really looked into the situation that much. If he did it, then I'm sure WWE would find out about it. I'm sure they wouldn't let that slide.
Well,
I doubt they would try to sweep it under the rug. They're not like that anymore anyways.
The guy accusing Velveteen Dream says WWE never contacted him during their investigation. So, I don't know. There are question marks, right? There are question marks around Velveteen Dream. Anyways, that's NXT. I've got Kushida beating Velveteen Dream. How about AEW?
Oh, I got Velveteen winning that one.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I'm going with the time splitter. I'm going with my man Kushida. AEW Dynamite this week. Ricky Starks and Darby Allin was a pretty good opener. I like Darby getting the win over Starks. The rest of the show, I don't know. What did you think? Wasn't my favorite.
I liked FTR SCU. Thought that was a solid match.
It was okay.
It was a really good match.
It was okay.
I mean, we don't see a lot of good tag team wrestling matches. I mean, that was easily the best tag team wrestling match I saw this week.
FTR is very basic. You know, like, I know that their whole thing is that they are basic, but, like, sometimes they're so basic that I'm just like, yo, you guys don't do anything. You know, like, they do little things, and they're all right, and they're smooth, and they're skilled, you know, but it's just kind of like, okay, there's not much that draws the attention. You know, like, there's no flash. There's, like, zero flash, and it's like, okay, like, I get that your gimmick is that you have no flash, but, like, goddamn, it's still pro wrestling. You're kind of boring. Like, they're a little bland, you know? They're generic. They're fine, and they're a throwback, and I get it, and they have fans, and the match was solid. Like, I'm not going to say, what a bad match. Did you see them do this or that? They didn't do anything badly, but they didn't do anything particularly impressive either. I thought the match was fine. You know, I didn't think it was great. They're very basic. And they pride themselves on that. But, you know, as a wrestling fan in 2020, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, fine. And when they wrestle another very basic team like SCU, who, you know, very nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes, it's kind of like, well, this is meat and potatoes. And meat and potatoes are fine, but, like, I like pizza too, you know? Where's the pizza?
I don't know. I thought we got a lot of stuff in this match. And we had Daniels kicked out of the match. I thought there was a lot of back and forth with Kazarian and
Daniels
FTR.
getting kicked out made no sense.
What are you talking about? It made perfect sense.
But then Tully doesn't get kicked out?
I didn't like that part, but I feel like they may have screwed that part up, though. I don't know.
Okay.
That looked like it was off.
Well, if they screwed it up, well, then they screwed it up. But, like, it still didn't make sense to me. Like, Daniels gets kicked out for barely doing anything. Tully's, like, all over the ring, getting involved, and the ref's like, yeah, that's fine, Tully. Do what you want. I was like, meh.
Well, actually, the ref kicked him, actually.
Yeah, okay. He kicked him, but he didn't kick him out of the ringside area. It's kind of dumb. I don't know. I didn't love it. I like the finish, though, a lot. Tully pulling Scorpio's legs out from under him and then holding on to the legs so that they could get the sneaky pin. The ref didn't see that. Okay. Exposing the ref a little bit there. But I liked the finish. It was kind of an old school finish you don't see very often. I enjoyed that. The rest of the match, though, I was like not in love with. It was okay.
I enjoyed the FTR did this whole power bomb roll through into a dragon suplex.
Yes.
That was just smooth as hell. Like, you can say that they're boring. Like, I don't see it that way.
It's like they're almost too smooth. You know?
Well, they're too good. Like, you can't please.
Not too good. I don't like super smooth wrestling because it feels almost like too easy and a little bit too fake. Like the guys are just kind of going along for the ride, you know? I don't know. I don't love their style. I've never loved their style. I've never been a huge mark for the Revival. I think that they're solid. I think that they're fine. But if you ask me who I prefer, them or the Bucks, I'll take the Bucks all day. I would much rather watch the Young Bucks.
Wow.
Much rather. You wouldn't.
All right. Well, not me, but I guess we're just different views on that one.
Yeah. FTR, they do things that, would have been great in 1995, but now it's kind of like, okay, what else can you do? What else can you do? It's like the Young Bucks, they're like 2020, they're current. They're a great tag team. How dare you?
I don't know. I just see FTR, the fact that they can do callbacks and they can actually wrestle like guys like the Bucks. I find that the complete package, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they don't. I mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't love them either. Chris Jericho, I love that guy. You know, Chris Jericho, amazing. He beats Isaiah Cassidy. That match was whatever. Jericho brawled with Luther during and after the match, and that's setting up Jericho and Hager versus Luther and Serpentico. It'll be 30 years of Jericho, the 30 years celebration for Chris Jericho in the wrestling business, and pretty apropos that he's wrestling Luther, a guy that he started with out in Calgary. So nice to see, maybe in Winnipeg, but I think it was in Calgary where they were starting out. So good to see Luther and Jericho in there, two Canadian veterans. 30 years of Jericho celebration match. I love Chris Jericho. I like to see him get the win over Isaiah Cassidy. It's good to see Jericho get a singles win after losing to fucking Orange.
Well, if I see him win, it's just I thought that match was way more competitive than it needed to be. But
Yeah.
Jericho's in that giving mood of like putting guys over, giving them a chance, and I appreciate that, what he's trying to do. It's just I felt it was a little bit way too much, but oh well, that's what he's at now. Like we kind of saw that after he lost to Orange, is that now he's just gonna pretty much help put over guys. He didn't lose, but he very much put over Isaiah Cassidy in this match.
Yeah, he made him look good despite the losing effort. I preferred Jericho's promo with MJF over his match with Isaiah Cassidy, though. I thought that promo backstage was great. MJF with the jackets for all of the Inner Circle, but he forgot Sammy Guevara's. Blames Wardlow. Jericho wondering if MJF wants to join the Inner Circle. MJF's like, well, do you want me to join the Inner Circle? And Jericho's like, well, do you want to join the Inner Circle? And there was like no conclusion really there. MJF kind of left. But I like the MJF Jericho thing. I like that it's continuing. And Sammy's like, what a loser. And then Jericho's like, no. Perhaps he's not a loser. I like that. I like that very much. The final little point, the final line from Jericho in that segment. I don't know what they're doing with it, but I'm enjoying the ride. I think Jericho and MJF work very well together. And this kind of friendly rivalry that they're building is fun. It could lead to a match, or it could lead to them joining forces. I don't know, but I like it either way. I'm happy with it because it's entertaining. They're good together.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to lead to a match. It's just we're a long ways from November 7th, so it's a slow build, but yeah, I like to see that.
Miro and Kip Sabian at an arcade planning the bachelor party for Kip Sabian. Miro's playing arcade games, and a man shows up next to Miro. I recognized the man immediately and was like, whoa, they got that guy. Did you know who the guy was? It was a celebrity cameo by, well, I'll tell you who. His name is Billy Mitchell. He was the bad guy in a documentary about Donkey Kong called King of Kong. And he was like this video game champion, and this other guy was kind of the underdog video game player who beat Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong record, and also found out that Billy Mitchell may have cheated in setting the record to begin with. Billy Mitchell was like quite a character, and I guess he's become somewhat famous since the documentary that's been out for like, over 10 years, I would say, right? King of Kong.
Feels like it's been a while.
The King of Kong was released in 2007, so 13 years. Okay, it's a very famous documentary, but like 13 years ago, Billy Mitchell, like, I don't know how many people watching Impact knew who the guy was that showed up next to Miro. I think for me and a lot of people, they were like, oh shit, it's that fucking evil video game guy, that bastard. And I liked it. I liked the cameo, but I think for a lot of other people, they're like, who the fuck is that guy? Is he in AEW now? Is like, what's the deal? But you knew who he was, right?
Once Excalibur said his name, because I didn't know like just by recognizing him.
Okay, I recognized him right away. I was like, it's that fucking guy with the hot sauce. Remember? Oh, he was a dick.
Again, the movie was such a long time ago, but
Yeah. I
I
think I've seen it
remember
a
the
couple
whole thing.
times. I think I've seen
Ah,
it twice. Maybe that's why I remember him so well. But yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that cameo. I'm sure a lot of people are like, huh? But I liked it because I
well, the
know
problem
who
is like,
he is. But it was
what
weird.
were
Like
they
that whole
going with it?
segment sucked. The segment was terrible. I don't know why he was there, but I liked seeing him. He was the best part of that segment. That whole segment was goddamn awful.
Well, it's like a to be continued, and it's like, well, now we have to wait until next week. I mean, besides that, he was there. Not much really happened there, so it was really hard to get into that whatsoever. It's like I thought it was going to cut, and we were going to go back to something later. Nope, nothing.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes does an in-ring promo, talks about losing to Brody and then going to Hollywood and the dog collar match, and he's like, no. And then he walks away, and you're like, oh, Cody's saying no to the dog collar match? And then he comes back, and he's like, no regrets, no mercy, dog collar match, next week, Brody Lee, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ugh. That was not good, Cody. I didn't like that promo. And then a bunch of guys show up with Brody, and Brody shows up, and people get between Brody and then Brandy shows up, and she starts fighting with Anna Jay, and then Nyla Rose attacks some redheaded woman. I think she had a name. She's like a wrestler. I have no idea who she is. Nyla Rose was attacking her. Total chaos erupting at ringside after the promo. Everybody fights. Cody and Brody brawl. I didn't like it. Dog collar match, though, should be fun. Cody versus Brody in a dog collar match for the TV title, or the TNT title on Dynamite Wednesday. That'll be fun. I like it. But the promo was not great. Not Cody's best.
But I thought they did a good job of like hyping up next week's Dynamite as it's going to be like a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of have like two big Dynamites coming up because they got Jericho's 30th anniversary coming up. Then they have the anniversary of Dynamite the week after. So some pretty big Dynamites coming up. And the fact that you pretty much had a big card set up for this Wednesday, it's kind of impressive.
Dynamite anniversary show in a couple weeks' time. Lance Archer will challenge Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title. Jon Moxley beating the Butcher in the main event via Bulldog choke submission. What'd you think of the main event? I didn't love it. It was what it was.
To me, it wasn't the most compelling match on the show. I thought last week they did a better job of that, but this week was just, well, it was what it was. I would have liked Pentagon or Penta, as he's called now. I think that's the match I would have liked to see out of all the potential Eddie Kingston guys there, but they threw a guy in there that was different from Moxley, and we got that finish. All right, move on.
Yeah. All right. Move on. Now, Jon Moxley is supposed to be wrestling not this Sunday, next Sunday in a non-AEW match. The world champion of AEW is going to wrestle in a non-AEW match in Marion County, Indiana at the Marion County Fairgrounds. Do you know what he's doing?
I think he's doing the Josh Barnett Bloodsport thing.
Yeah, he's wrestling Chris Dickinson for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. Homicide will wrestle Tom Lawler, which, like, shit. Matt Makowski wrestles Simon Grimm, and Eric Hammer versus Cal Jack. That could be fun. I'm looking forward to Bloodsport. I think I'm gonna buy the thing. I don't know how much it is, but I'm into it. I like this. It's like Raw Underground if it were done correctly. So Moxley, interesting that the AEW champion, 3 days before he's supposed to defend his title on the anniversary show, is going to be doing an indie show in Indiana. Is that wise?
He could pull this off because they're probably going to tape the anniversary show, right? Not
This
probably right after Dynamite, but probably
this
maybe a
week.
day or two before. Yeah,
You think
sometime this
so?
week because the
Okay.
30th anniversary for Jericho's live, and they always do like 1 week live, 1 week tape. So
Hmm.
at some point during the week, they're going to tape the 30th anniversary.
Okay. So I guess he'll be done with that, and then he'll go to Barnett's thing.
Right.
Does Archer take the belt?
I would think not, given the fact that he tested positive, right? I mean, that's it's kind of a scary thing to do to give to someone who just tested positive, but
Why?
because I don't think they had the plans that he was going to be the champion. They again gave him 2 weeks off just so he could possibly have the match. Did they really plan ahead that, oh yeah, he's going to be the champion after that? I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they did, but I'd be very surprised they did that.
It didn't seem like he was destined to win the title when he was given the shot in the first place, but now that there's been more of a build, it makes it more believable, I think. You know, the fact that he got COVID, right? That Archer tested positive for COVID and had to stay away for a while kind of gives a bigger build to his title match. So it's not the worst thing that could have happened. I mean, he'll survive, and as long as he tests negative before the match, everything should be fine for Lance Archer, which is still kind of up in the air, right? Orange Cassidy beat 10 via pinfall on Dynamite this week. My favorite part of that match was John Silver at ringside. John Silver is the best thing in AEW. You can't really tell when you watch Dynamite, but if you watch Being the Elite, you will know that John Silver is the greatest. He is the funniest, the most entertaining. I don't know. There's just something about this guy. I love him. I think he's the best. He's my favorite in AEW right now. Everything he does. When John Silver is on TV, my eyes are glued to John Silver. I don't know how the AEW, how the Dark Order has become like the top comedy act in AEW, but like they've got Colt Cabana and John Silver in that group. By God, they're a funny group. And Brody Lee, like those Dark Order segments on Being the Elite, by far the best things on Being the Elite, and some of the best things that AEW is producing as a whole. The Dark Order bits on Being the Elite are so damn good every single week, knocking it out of the park. They are as good as the Santana and Ortiz bits are bad. Can we please have no more Alex Abrahantes on the goddamn Being the Elite? Because everything he does is dog shit. I don't know why, but he is fucking terrible. It's not him that I dislike. It's like every bit that he's in is awful. He's in all the worst bits. That one this week was really bad with Dasha. They're like, Dasha's not who you think she is, and then it turns out Dasha's really Marco Stunt, and Ortiz has been fucking Marco Stunt or something. I don't even know what's going on there. It was terrible. That shit is really bad. The Ortiz and Dasha and Alex Abrahante stuff on Being the Elite, worst. Cut it out. No more. John Silver, more. John Silver is elite. He is the man. Dark Order is Being the Elite. They're the best. Goddamn love those guys.
I was gonna say I thought Dasha was pretty good as like the interviewer. I thought they should use her actually more often. We don't see her that much.
Oh, no,
And
she's
I
good at
like the
that.
fact that
Yeah.
yeah, she's very good at that. And maybe even wrestle once in a while. Like I didn't think she had a terrible match, her first match.
She wrestled?
So yeah, she wrestled. Cody even mentioned that she's somewhat of a wrestler, so
Huh.
she wrestled in the women's tournament, tag tournament.
Oh.
So, it'd be nice to see her wrestle once in a while, but whatever. Like, just see her more on television. They should do that. I liked how Shivani was also used, the Young Bucks, or it was just Matt, right? They
Just
said
Matt.
Nick was there, but we didn't see Nick.
No. Matt was
So
only
that's
there to
interesting.
super kick Tony Schiavone. That's all they did. Only Matt Jackson
Right.
super kick Schiavone. I mean, the Bucks are pretty busy. They probably have things to do backstage. They don't have to be front and center on every TV show, right?
Well, that's the excuse you give them. Sure. All right. Okay.
Where's
But
Kenny?
I actually, well, Hangman did the commentary this week, right? So
Yeah. Kenny wasn't even on the show.
Well, because Kenny, for some reason, doesn't wrestle. Apparently, he's only going to wrestle in this tournament that they just made now.
Yeah, which is kind of a cool deal, right? They're doing a tournament, and the winner of the tournament is next up against Jon Moxley. Does Kenny win this tournament?
But you know what the finals are? The finals are at the pay-per-view. So it pretty much just sets up the match we were expecting anyways.
Kenny Hangman.
And exactly. And, you could say whatever, it's going to be the tournament finals. Like, even if it wasn't tournament finals, like, the winner off that we would think would get the title shot next anyways. This just confirms it.
If it's Kenny, you got to give him the belt, right? Like, if Kenny wins this tournament, it's Kenny's time. Like, how long is Moxley going to hold the belt for? Right? Come on.
The thing is, didn't you have Hangman winning, though? You said Hangman was going to win the pay-per-view.
Against Kenny? It would make sense.
Yeah.
Well, then give Hangman the belt. Either or. Hangman and Kenny are far more compelling characters in AEW than Jon Moxley is. Jon Moxley as the champion is boring as fuck. Super boring. Like, a main event with Hangman is far more compelling than a main event with Jon Moxley. Hangman is the guy. Kenny is the ace. Hangman is the next ace. Moxley's just, the entertainer they brought in to move the needle. But the real ones are Kenny and Hangman. Those are the guys. Either or. I'm good with either of those guys being champion. They'll both be AEW champion at some point, and I'm fine with either of them taking that title off of Moxley. I think they'd be great. I think AEW has lost a lot since Jericho dropped the belt.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, it was February, and then after that, COVID hit, right? So Moxley, in a sense, never really got a fair shake as the champion.
Okay, but the product overall, wasn't it better when Jericho was the champion? Wasn't the show better? I feel like I enjoyed AEW a lot more back then, and the pay-per-views. Like, I remember at one point AEW, during the first few pay-per-views, they were all very good. And now it's like every AEW pay-per-view is like, yeah, it's about on par with a WWE pay-per-view, I feel like since Moxley, and yeah, the pandemic, okay, but they have some fans there, and the in-ring content is still the same, and Moxley's matches are just kind of, I feel the same way about Moxley as I do about the FTR. I don't think Moxley's particularly terrible, but I also don't think he's doing anything that groundbreaking where I'm, blown away. It's just like, okay, doing his thing. He's not bad. He's not fucking it up, It's not a terrible match, but it's not my favorite,
Right, but he's getting to this level now where it's like you just don't think anyone can beat him. So when he finally does lose, it's going to mean a lot. This is what's the great thing about long-reign champions, is that when they finally lose, it's kind of a great thing, because it's like finally someone ended that reign of terror in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Long-reigning champions are always a great move in professional wrestling. Helps build the belt. If anything, the belt does gain momentum when one person holds on to it for a while. I think it's good, but I think whoever's next should be an AEW original. It should be one of the AEW main people. We've had Jericho as champion. We've had Moxley as champion. Both of those guys mostly associated with WWE. I think the next world champion AEW, be it Kenny Omega, be it Hangman Page, be it MJF, it should be one of these guys that is kind of AEW homegrown, one of the AEW originals. That makes sense, right? Well, give it to one of their guys at some point. Enough with the WWE guys holding your main belt. Don't give it to Miro next, Don't give it to Miro. Don't give it to, give it to somebody that's an AEW person.
Well, the whole AEW original stuff, there's not a lot of them when you think about it, because they all, if you think about it, came from somewhere, right? So
yeah, but it's really hard. Kenny, sure, New Japan world champion, big star in New Japan, but as far as the North American audience, playing in a major company, right? There's a lot of AEW originals. Like, a lot of these guys were kind of indie guys. Maybe they worked Ring of Honor, whatever, but I'm talking about people that haven't worked in the WWE. I'm counting them as AEW originals. Watch them give the world title to Matt Hardy next or something, you know? Like, don't do that. Don't give it to me.
I think it's going to be Matt Hardy versus Brody Lee at the next pay-per-view. I think that's what we're going to see. Because remember, someone attacked Matt, right? It was a masked guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely Dark Order that did it.
Yeah, maybe it was. I like Brody Lee versus Matt Hardy. I think that'll be a fun match. Anything else in AEW? Britt Baker beat Red Velvet. Who's Red Velvet?
Just someone they got to, fill the void in the women's division.
Will Hobbs is going to wrestle Brian Cage for the FTW title on Dynamite. Who the fuck is Will Hobbs? Like, he's jacked and all, but like all of a sudden he's somebody I'm supposed to care about. I see him on Dynamite 2 weeks in a row, and now he's like one of their guys. Fucking big guy, man.
Well, remember he was in that Battle Royal?
Yeah. Okay. What Battle Royal?
The Battle Royal at All Out.
He was?
He was in there, yes.
The Battle Royal sucked. I'm trying to forget it. I'm trying to erase it from my memory. That was awful. And so he's going to wrestle Brian Cage for the FTW title. Just put 2 Jack guys in there and just see what happens. That'll be, I don't know. We'll see. Big Johnny North, let me tell you about our friends over at Stitcher. Go to Stitcher.com/premium. Use that promo code Ringside when you sign up. They have over 100,000 podcasts, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. You can listen to them on your iPhone, Android, any kind of device you use to listen to podcasts, listen to audio. You can use Stitcher. Get the Stitcher app. Go to Stitcher.com/premium. And when you use the promo code Ringside, you get a free month when you sign up. So $34.99 a year or $4.99 a month. But when you use the promo code Ringside, when you sign up at Stitcher.com/premium, you get a free month. And I also want to tell you about our other great sponsor, our friends over at IP Vanish. Protect yourself on the internet. Protect yourself at all times with IP Vanish. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net for more. Sign up right now, and you support the Ringside Report Network when you do so. vpn.ringsidereport.net. You need this on all of your devices to stay safe and stay protected. Johnny North, you can follow on Twitter at North Genesis, on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You could follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. RingsideReport.net is our website. Wrestling Uncensored is here for you on Facebook Live, on Twitch, and on YouTube each and every Saturday morning. And of course, we do watch-alongs for every WWE and AEW pay-per-view on all of our channels, and also for every big UFC pay-per-view as well. We have a big weekend coming up October 24th and 25th. The 24th will be in the afternoon, a special afternoon watch-along of UFC 254. Khabib time, October 24th in the afternoon. And then another watch-along on the Sunday. UFC and WWE keep hitting me back-to-back with these weekends, right? They did it to me last weekend. They're doing it to me again at the end of October, because the 25th will be Hell in a Cell, and we'll be doing a watch-along for that. Last weekend was real heavy for me, right, Johnny? I did, we did Ringside and Wrestling Uncensored, and then we did a watch-along on the Saturday night for UFC 253, and, of course, don't forget, AJ went 0-5 for UFC 253, and then, of course, we did a watch-along last Sunday for Clash of Champions. If you didn't watch that, go check it out right now, because this one's all done. So WWE and UFC back-to-back nights, back-to-back watch-alongs, really hitting me with everything they got. Can't they do it on separate weeks? Like, do a UFC pay-per-view the week before and then WWE pay-per-view the next week? Don't give it to me all in the same weekend, by God. But, hey, it'll be a busy weekend, and it'll be a break for me all the other weekends, right? Rest up until then, Big Johnny. That's what I'll do.
And then wait till November and do it all over again.
Hey, bite your tongue, Johnny. Hopefully they separate them for November, and we don't have to do the whole, back-to-back nights. Because it's a lot, man. It's a lot of work that they're trying to do to me, but I'm okay. I like it. We have fun. We party. We like the watch-alongs. We enjoy it. We do it here for you, the Wrestling Uncensored universe. We appreciate you all for supporting our sponsors, Manscaped, IP Vanish, and Stitcher Premium. Thank you for hitting us up on that super chat, hitting that donate button as well. RingsideReport.net. Go there. Support everything that we do. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We love you big time. See you.